Last week, LG released the V10, a weird new smartphone with 2 screens, 2 front-facing cameras, and lots of quirky features. The question, however, is it any better than the G4? And is it competent enough to compete with the iPhone 6s and the Galaxy Note 5? Well, LG sent me a review unit a few months ahead of launch, and I've been using it now for 3 days. So this isn't a full review, but I'll tell you what I think so far. Look, LG has never been very good at making devices look or feel very premium, and that was one of my few complaints about the G4, LG's 2015 flagship. Well, with the V10, they've really fixed things up. LG sent me the gray and gold combo, which I really didn't like at first, but it's starting to grow on me. Now, despite the color you opt in for, the back cover is made of a rubberized plastic that makes for an amazingly good grip, and it seems very durable. It's not so rubbery that it will catch on your pockets or stick itself to the table. It's just the right amount of grip, and it feels great. Now, LG also finally opted in for stainless steel bezels as well. The matte chamfered edges look sexy and are also great for gripping the phone. This thing has a military drop spec rating, so it should handle normal drops just fine, which is nice to see in a smartphone. Now, with that said, this may be the biggest phone that I have ever used. Yes, believe it or not, it is bigger than the iPhone 6s Plus. Now, it does have a 5.7-inch display with that secondary display, but it's still a mighty big phone. It's a little bit taller than the iPhone 6 Plus, and it's slightly thicker. Not substantially different, but it's noticeable. Now that said, because the back is slightly rounded and because it's made of not aluminum but plastic and metal, it's slightly lighter at about 5 grams less than the iPhone 6 Plus. So to me, it feels actually better in the hand due to the grippiness nature of the phone and the fact that the back is rounded, which is very, very nice because I've never found the iPhone 6 Plus to be very comfortable. Now, the most unique part about the V10 is the second screen feature. Now, it really is a separate display with its very own backlight, but I tend to think of it as a huge screen that has the corner cut out of it for the front-facing cameras. Now, it's very similar to Samsung's Edge feature, and just like Samsung's Edge feature, it's not very useful. Now, you can quick toggle applications, you can have your favorite contacts, you can control your music without dropping down the notification center shade. It's kind of handy, but if you ask me, it's in the wrong place. Since the phone is so massive, reaching up to the top corner of the phone with one hand is very difficult, if not for most people, impossible. I feel like the second screen, in its current implementation with the current idea that it is, should have been on the bottom. Now, LG says it's an always-on display, but that's a bit of a misnomer as well. It's technically always on, but the screen is super dim, and when the phone is locked, you can only see the time or toggle Wi-Fi, the camera, or turn on the flashlight, which you can actually already do the majority of these with LG's handy or quick launch hotkeys. So the second screen on the lock screen is kind of worthless. And I'd like to be able to call my favorite contacts without even having to turn on the lock screen. That would be awesome. But right now, you can't. You're limited to these quick toggles while the phone is locked. Now, the cameras, however, are awesome. Even with the remarkable iPhone 6s and Galaxy S6 Edge Plus and of course the Note 5, I still think that the LG G4's images are some of the best from any smartphone. They're not the best, but some of the best. Now on the V10, things have gotten even better. The over-sharpening that you get on the Galaxy series is not present in the V10, but images are still naturally sharper than the iPhone 6s. Low-light photos, especially indoor photos, are excellent, and I'll talk about the camera more in the final review, but for now, this is where we stay. You might ask, well, how's the video quality? Well, here's a sample that I shot at dusk. So the lighting's not ideal, but the V10 did a really nice job. Okay, so this is 4K resolution shot on the LG G4, and as you can see, the video quality is absolutely remarkable. Unfortunately, for some reason, in this video mode, you do not get the option to use optical image stabilization, which is only available in 1080p footage or lower. It's a little odd. As you can see, 1080p is significantly less impressive than 4K, but it also has a pretty neat feature wherein not only does it use optical image stabilization, but it also uses software stabilization on top of that. So as you can see, I'm walking right now, but it almost looks like I'm using a gimbal. I'm walking.
Look how smooth that video is. It's a shame it's not enabled for 4K video.
Now, the LG V10 provides two 5-megapixel front-facing cameras. One of them provides a standard 80-degree lens, but the other provides a much wider and, in my opinion, much better 120-degree angle. Now, this eliminates the need for selfie sticks, and thank goodness for that. Sadly, at this time, you can't combine the two camera images together for HDR or even wider shots. Maybe that's something that can be done in the future with a software update, but for now I find myself mostly leaving the camera on the 120-degree angle, and they could have opted in for just that, and I'm sure they would have been fine. Now, the 5.7-inch Quad HD display on this phone might be the prettiest I've ever seen on any phone. Colors are hyper accurate, and blacks are actually surprisingly rich for an LCD. Now, this screen puts the Moto X Play's Quad HD display to shame, and I would say that it's nearly tied with the absolutely stunning 1440p OLED display on the latest Samsung phones. One other thing that I should mention is that it's surprisingly easy to see in the sun, something that can't be said about the Samsung OLED panels. Battery life over these last 3 days has been about 4 to 4.5 hours of on-screen time, which is actually pretty good for a Quad HD phone. It's not amazing, but it's certainly not bad. Now, the good thing about this phone is that the battery is removable. So if you need a quick swap, you can pop them out and you're ready to go 0 to 100% in 10 seconds. Now, if you're not a big fan of multiple batteries, it does have Qualcomm Quick Charge, and the phone can be charged from 0 to 100% in just over an hour. So there has to be some bad things, right? There is, and it's LG's software. I really dislike LG's software, and I think everyone does. Now look, LG's software is slightly more efficient in terms of resources than Samsung's TouchWiz, but I think that LG's interface is even more clumsy than that of LG's Korean rival. The icons are bad, the launcher is bad, the notification shade is bad, the settings app is bad. It's just bad, the whole experience. Now, this phone was shipped unlocked from U+, which is a Korean cell phone carrier owned by, can you guess it? LG. Now, tons of weird Korean bloatware came on this phone that took me a few hours to remove, and I obviously suspect that the US versions will be a little bit better, but expect crapware from US carriers as well. Luckily, with the help of Nova Launcher and the Moonshine Icon Pack, I was able to de-LG the phone. It feels much better, it is way quicker, and feels a lot closer to stock Android. Now, the phone has a Snapdragon 808 processor, which I gotta say, and I don't understand, people crap on this processor. Okay, yeah, it's about a year old, but it's still very competent and remarkably fast. And the 4 gigabytes of RAM makes this thing a multitasking beast. This is one of the fastest phones I've ever used. So folks, that's all from me. The LG V10 already seems like a very competent phone that will be able to go against the best of the best. The question, however, that's still up in the air is how much this thing is going to cost, and we still don't know yet. I'll let you know in the final review, along with all of the other thoughts that I didn't mention here that will come in a few weeks' time. However, in the meantime, if you would like or dislike this video according to how it made you feel, that would be awesome, and you could share it with your friends so that they can see too. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, stay snazzy.